What do you think of that?
A good fight.
You think the winner should get Canelo on the next one, Floyd?
Many notable fighters pulled up to the Terence Crawford versus Israil Madrimov fight. Still, some unexpected fighting champions were in attendance. And that, in fact, makes folks know Crawford and Madrimov did a thing. Floyd Mayweather, owner of Mayweather Promotions, a celebrity retired fighter, was at the ringside of the fight, and he did have fun. Floyd's attendance has a lot of fans wondering what his aim was. It's not like he could sign either Crawford or Madrimov to his promotions company anyway. Maybe man was just out to watch a good fight, and he achieved that goal. Crawford and Madrimov threw good punches and made the match worth watching for the general populace in attendance. But y'all should know Floyd reacted to the match in a spectacular way nobody saw coming.
What do you think of that?
A good fight.
You think the winner should get Canelo on the next one, Floyd?
Floyd openly declaring it was a good match meant a lot to the boxing community, and especially to Crawford and Madrimov. Floyd is known not to keep his despair about a match to himself. He always says how he feels. So if it were bad, Floyd would openly tell the media that information. But Floyd saying it was a good match with a bright face meant he really did enjoy Crawford and Madrimov's performance. However, Floyd wasn't the only notable fighter who made himself available for that particular match. Y'all want to know who the other person is? We would let the cat out of the bag in a second. Let's talk a little bit about Crawford and Madrimov's great performance. Crawford may have come out on top as he went home as the super welterweight champion after the judges handed a unanimous decision. But y'all should know Madrimov was, in fact, putting up his best performance too. Madrimov, who recently lost his undefeated record, threw some pretty good punches at the rate that could have brought some fighters down, and him taking the win. But Crawford couldn't allow it. Probably Crawford promised his family he was going to put his blood and sweat into the fight and not back down till he beats Madrimov. Madrimov's performance was peak as he carried on with the fight till the 12th round. Even Crawford confirmed that Madrimov was indeed a tough opponent.
Israil was a tough competitor. I knew he was going to be tough, like I said. I knew all about him when I went to Uzbekistan, and they was telling me so much about him. He's real strong, he's durable. He took a lot of good shots. And he got me to round 12.
Madrimov truly took a lot of good shots, but Crawford landed counter-punches in return. Neither Madrimov nor Crawford gave in till the end of the fight, but the judges had to do what they had to do by judging based on the skill and technique shown by both fighters. The unanimous decision was brought about by a scorecard of 116, 112, 115, 113, 115, and 113. All the judges concluded that Crawford was the better fighter of the night and gave him the win. Interestingly, Eddie Hearn, who is Israil Madrimov's promoter, doesn't feel the same way. Eddie thinks they totally had it wrong by giving the win to Crawford. From Eddie's perspective, Madrimov was supposed to be the winner because his skills and techniques were far ahead of Crawford's own. Sorry, Eddie, the judges don't think so. According to Eddie, Crawford also put on a good performance, but it was nothing compared to that of Madrimov.
Because it's a waste of time. It's not a 116, 112 fight. He was in the fight. He's coming into the fight as the champion. But because he's fighting Terence Crawford, he doesn't get a shake. All of the effective punches were coming from Israil Madrimov. Crawford had a good flurry in, I think, the last 10th round. It was a super close fight. I believe when you come into that ring as champion, you've got to take the belt off that champion. Terence Crawford didn't do that. And I love him, he's brilliant. But for me, he deserves to be champion tonight. It was a fight that could have gone either way. And then you hear the scorecards, and it's like a why'd you bother kind of.
Everyone knows Eddie always supports his fighters regardless of how they throw their punches. But what do you expect? He's their promoter, so he's just doing his job. When Terence Crawford was asked about how he felt concerning Eddie's post-fight interview, he responded that he was just doing his job. In Crawford's words, "You've got to understand that's his fighter. He's going to say anything that he can to hype it up. You know that guy lost, and so does his team, and so does he." Oops, Crawford went below the belt with that. But yeah, his response was aimed at the point of the discussion.
Figured it out from the get-go, but I was just being patient. I didn't want to rush in with anything because that's how I got caught a couple of times, rushing in, trying to eat too soon. But I did my thing.
To be honest, Crawford wasn't even lying. If Eddie's fighters lost, everyone around that fighter indeed lost for real. Eddie, as a promoter, has always been extreme in his criticism of other fighters. Remember Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight? Oh, Ryan would have wished Haney had a different promoter. Eddie had so much to say before and after the match. It even became worse after Ryan tested positive for a banned substance, and the win had to be awarded to Devin Haney. Ryan wouldn't be able to hear the end of that fight from Eddie Hearn. Moving on, Crawford and Madrimov gave boxing fans a good show, and the other most notable fighter in attendance that night was Mike Tyson. No one expected Tyson to be sitting at the ringside of the podium to watch Crawford and Madrimov fight. He's a legend. Even though he's got a match of his own against Jake Paul coming up in November, he was out to support the fighters. Tyson's reaction to the fight is simple and short, yet carries a strong and clear message.
What'd you think? Did you give it a tough fight? Nice to meet you, man. Well, they haven't announced the winner, but who do you expect to win, Mike? How's the training coming along?
A fighter like Tyson saying Crawford and Madrimov fight was a tough fight genuinely means it was a tough fight. Those two fighters fought like it was their last fight in the ring, so Tyson saying it was a tough one just attests to that fact. So who's next on Crawford and Madrimov's list to fight with? For now, Madrimov may have to pull back and come back stronger to prove himself again after losing his clean sheet of being an undefeated fighter.
Yeah, you can feel the difference because, like I said, Israel a real strong opponent, you know. He only got 11 fights, but he's very strong. And we knew that coming in the game, and for us to come and fight a guy of his caliber the first fight.
But Crawford, well, matches may have to be lining up for him as it stands, but there's one that's in high stakes and demand. Crawford has proven himself and made his spot a solid one with his positioning among the elite fighters, so now it's time to climb higher on the ladder. After Terence Crawford debuted in the welterweight division in 2018, he has been on a roll. Crawford's rise seemed a bit shaky because of the type of fighters he was fighting against, but the moment he won a TKO in the 9th round against WBO champion Jeff Horn, Crawford made his mark. Crawford continued his domination in the sport as he defended the title he won 6 times. Yeah, that's a lot of times for any fighter to be able to hold up their head high, but Crawford did, and that gave him a great edge in the league. However, the edge got more obvious after he knocked out Errol Spence Jr. to unify all the belts. Crawford's fight with Errol Spence Jr. was a spectacular performance, but Crawford's always got something to prove, and he mostly ends up proving himself that he's capable and worthy of his titles. Anyway, the fighter on top of Crawford's list right now is Canelo Alvarez. Both Canelo Alvarez and Crawford are ranked as the 3rd and 4th best fighters in the pound-for-pound rankings according to Bleacher's Report. This means these two have broken a couple of records to be following each other closely on that table, and it's only fair that fans witness them as opponents to each other. Many fans in the boxing scene have been campaigning for a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. As it stands, it seems that the campaign idea is about to come to pass. Aside from fans wanting a fight, Turki Al-Sheikh is also on board with the idea. Turki, who is the chairman of the General Authority for Entertainment in Saudi Arabia, an advisor to the Saudi Royal Court, said on MMA Hour, "I'm working on the Canelo versus Crawford fight. I want this fight," Turki added. "We're considering doing it in the United States because we want it to be big, in a great stadium, and offer a good pay-per-view. We want it to be at the end of the year or early next year." In another interview with ESPN after Crawford's fight against Madrimov, Turki Al-Sheikh dropped his 2 cents, saying, "No one delivered a good fight for him. When you reach this time of age and glory, you pick your fights. If they give you the right money and fighters, you will take it. No one gave him that in the last 4 years." Al-Sheikh was speaking facts. Crawford has been on his A game for a while, but the type of recognition he deserves is just happening. And that's one of the reasons he's interested in planning a fight between him and Canelo Alvarez. A fight between these two will definitely make fans excited and put millions in the pockets of both fighters and every other person's involved. Y'all better start saving up for that ticket if you want to see Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed champion, and Terence Crawford, a 4-division champion, live, because that match would definitely be one of the best matches this new generation of boxing fans will witness. Anyway, let's jump right back into Crawford and Madrimov's fight. There were other reactions from several boxing professionals, but first let's talk about Terence Crawford's trainer's reaction. Bomac was surely on cloud 9, seeing that his fighter won the match, but he gave credit to whom it was due. Bomac said it was a chess match as Israil Madrimov was a tough opponent, but he had already told Crawford that Madrimov would be tough and even tricky, so Crawford knew what to expect. Bomac added that he knew a couple of Madrimov's tricks as Madrimov is quite tricky with his right hand, and Crawford took some of those hits, but what matters the most is that Crawford won. Bomac claimed he knew he had to do something and put pressure on Crawford to get over Madrimov's right-hand trick.
I think it was the style. It was his style, and he had quick feet. and had a quick right hand too. So, you know, I think the rounds that he won it was just because of that right hand. I never thought he was behind. I knew the last 3 rounds. I know I had to, you know, all the instruction was out the window. It was like, come on, man, we got to work a little harder. We got to grind a little harder. So I wanted to. I knew he had won some rounds, but I wanted him to put a stamp on it, so we wouldn't have no doubt.
What was the game plan?
Just boxing, hoping he'll run into something. And, you know, he ran into a few good shots.
Oh yeah, Crawford took it up a notch and knew how to bypass Madrimov's right-hand trick. Another boxing professional who was invested in the match and had something to say about it was Vasily Lomachenko. Vasily tried not to be biased, as it didn't seem like he was deeply supporting either one of them.
Very close fight.
Yeah? Did you have Israel winning?
But it was a very interesting fight, very smart fight. So how about compare my fight with Haney? Madrimov was a champion.
Yeah.
So it's enough for win the title.
Yeah.
Probably Vasily was just out to watch a good boxing match and have fun. From the look on his face, yeah, you can say he had fun. However, there's Ryan Garcia that was hating on Crawford from the outside of the club. Yeah, outside of the club, because he isn't allowed to participate in fights due to his 1-year ban. But trust Ryan to have the highest number of opinions. After Ryan had dropped a series of tweets on X without getting any response from Crawford, he dropped the most shocking one as he wrote, "F you, ass Crawford. Fight someone. Stop stealing money from boxing. You bring nothing to boxing." Only Ryan deeply understands what he's talking about. We may not understand what Ryan Garcia was saying, but we can at least hope for a match between Crawford and Canelo, as that would give boxing fans another interesting fight to anticipate, aside from the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight in November. So do you think Crawford would be able to beat Canelo Alvarez in a fight? Or do you feel Canelo would destroy Crawford's hard-earned titles? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel or turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on boxing news updates.